Hey guys, what's going on? It's MassiveJoes RAW review, and I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Awesome! Raw review for the viewers at home today on an all new thermogenic stimulant-based fat burner from our good friends at Outbreak Nutrition. It is, of course, Reclaim in the house. Let's get straight into it, show you guys exactly what's in it, tell you exactly what it's gonna do. That nutritional information panel is tiny and it ain't gonna get it done. We're about to go balls deep in this here Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim. Fortunately, we got ourselves a big ass nutritional information panel for the viewers at home. Dylan, go ahead and throw that panel up for the viewers. Starting from the top, a serving size, 1 scoop, 5.5 grams. Got yourself about 30 of them 1 scoop, 5.5 gram bitches in one of these Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim bitches. I will point out at this point as well that this is a 1 a day fat burner. So a lot of fat burners will be, 1 scoop, one serve, but you need to take 2 serves a day. This specifically, explicitly says on the label, this is a once a day fat burning supplement. In terms of firstly, before we even get into what the 5.5 grams is made up of, because Outbreak Nutrition have been kind enough to fully disclose their ingredients and the breakdown of their ingredients and the quantities, we can do a quick sum, add up the active ingredients, and find that there is 2.285 grams of actives in a 5.5 gram serve. So we're dealing with just 42% active ingredients, 58% colors, flavors, sweeteners, and other things that aren't active ingredients. So it is more than half coloring, flavoring, and sweetening. The reason for that will become quite apparent when we get into the ingredients, and those of you who understand how raw ingredients taste will understand why they've had to use so much flavor, sweetener, and color as well in this particular product. That being said, still 58% of a 5.5 gram scoop, you're talking about grams. So it's not a whole lot, it's nothing to be too concerned about. Now we can go balls deep, getting into what each 2.285 grams of actives is made up of. Starting from the top, acetyl L-Carnitine hydrochloride in a 1,000 milligram dose. For viewers at home who are unaware, this is L-Carnitine with the acetyl group attached, which helps increase the bioavailability of the carnitine. Carnitine itself is a fat transporter. It transports fat from fat cells into the mitochondria of muscle cells, also known as a fat metabolizer. And having this acetyl group attached to carnitine actually helps it cross the blood-brain barrier, where it can help with mental focus. Clinical dose of acetyl L-Carnitine, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. We have got ourselves 1,000 milligrams in each and every serve of this Reclaim, so it is towards the lower end of that efficacious dosing range, but we would still go so far as to say clinically dosed. Moving right along, we then get into L-Tyrosine in a 500 milligram dose. L-Tyrosine is a nootropic amino acid and is in its own right a precursor to L-Dopa. And L-Dopa, of course, is a precursor to the neurotransmitters dopamine, noradrenaline, and adrenaline. What L-Tyrosine is going to do for your viewers at home is going to improve cognition in the presence of stress. Pretty much means when you're in a caloric deficit, which you will be when you're taking any sort of fat burner, because all of you know that that's the most important part of any fat loss regime is caloric deficit. You're gonna be stressed because you're in caloric deficit. It's gonna help keep your brain functioning the way it wants to function, the way you want it to function. Clinical dose for L-Tyrosine, 500 to 2,000 milligrams. We've got 500 milligrams in each and every scoop of this Reclaim. So once again, towards the lower end of that dosing range, but we would still go so far as to say clinically dosed. Moving right along, we then get into one of the stimulants, caffeine anhydrous. Well, it's just listed as caffeine on the panel. We're going to go with caffeine anhydrous in a 300 milligram dose. Caffeine, a central nervous system stimulant, enhances physical energy, reduces fatigue, and boosts psychological performance. Clinical dose, or most well-regarded dose of caffeine, is probably a better way to describe it than clinical, is 200 to 300 milligrams. We have 300 milligrams, so on caffeine, we're towards the higher end of that dosing range. Moving right along, we then get into a Coleus Forskohlii root extract, which has been standardized for 20% Forskolin, and we have 100 milligrams of that root extract, which yields 20 milligrams of Forskolin. What Forskolin does is it increases cellular levels of a molecule called cyclic adenosine monophosphate, aka CAMP or CAMP. And what that's going to do is increase the power of your heartbeat and increase the rate of fat loss, along with widening blood vessels. Forskolin is one of my favorite fat loss ingredients that a lot of companies don't use, and they really should use, because it's a phenomenal ingredient. There's a lot of research that's been done on Forskolin that shows that it's very effective at increasing fat loss. In terms of the clinical dose, 25 milligrams of Forskolin twice per day to yield 50 milligrams in total a day is the generally regarded best or most efficacious dose. We've only got 20 milligrams of Forskolin in this reclaim, and it's a once a day supplement. So we are significantly underdosed on the Forskolin. Moving right along, we then move into Rhodiola rosea root extract, which has been standardized for 3% salidrosides in a 150 milligram dose. Rhodiola is of course an adaptogenic herb which helps decrease fatigue, helps body adapt to stress, particularly when you're in caloric deficit. That's going to be quite important. Rhodiola, the most efficacious dosing range is 600 to 700 milligrams, and it's one of those ingredients that follows a bell-shaped curve. So if you have too little of it, you're not going to get that greater result. If you have too much of it, you're also not going to get that greater result. The kind of sweet spot with Rhodiola is 600 to 700 milligrams. We only have 150 milligrams in this reclaim, so once again, it is also underdosed. Moving right along, we then get into some more stimulants, starting with Juglans regia extract, the bark extract, aka walnut bark extract. This is a natural source of DMHA, 2-amino-5 methylheptane, the natural version of DMHA, which is more potent than the synthetic DMHA, the 2-amino-6 methylheptane. DMHA, of course, is a psychoactive central nervous system stimulant. It's going to boost energy, enhance cognitive function, decrease appetite, also acts as a bronchodilator, and also increases levels of dopamine and noradrenaline, those two neurotransmitters, in combination with Tyrosine, which is going to elevate your mood and feeling of well-being. The clinical dose for the natural source of DMHA, so like the 2-amino-5 methylheptane, is about 75 milligrams. We've got 80 milligrams of the Juglans regia walnut bark extract in each and every serve of this reclaim, so it's actually overdosed. Moving right along, we then get into another stimulant, theacrine, as the patented registered T-crine, the best theacrine we've seen thus far. We've got 50 milligrams of T-crine in this reclaim. T-crine, of course, is a central nervous system stimulant, very similar to caffeine. So it's going to boost physical energy, reduce fatigue, and boost psychological performance. Things that it does different to caffeine is it also is going to upregulate your dopamine receptors, which is going to improve mood and enhance mental focus. And it's also not going to cause the sorts of crash that a lot of people experience when they have too much caffeine. And finally, you don't build up a tolerance to T-crine like you do caffeine. The final thing, T-crine is a fantastic ingredient. That T-crine does is reduces inflammation, particularly exercise-induced inflammation. Very cool ingredient to see in this supplement. The clinical dose of T-crine is 25 to 50 milligrams. We have 50 milligrams in each and every scoop of this reclaim, so it is definitely very well dosed. Moving right along. Whew. Can we get a timeout? I'm burning up in here. Moving right along, we then move into Max Capsicum Fruit Extract, the patented registered version of the capsicum root extract, Max, which is of course standardized for 2% capsaicinoids. What Max is a concentrated, highly active capsicum extract, and it yields, as I mentioned, 2% capsaicinoids, and what they do is they boost metabolic rate, they increase thermogenesis, and they also increase lipolysis. Max is a very cool ingredient that has a lot of real science behind it. And I'm not gonna go through it now because there's too many fucking ingredients in this raw review already. I'm gonna put a link in the description box for those of you who are interested to learn more about Max because it is a very cool ingredient. Effectively, it's the extract from capsicum, from like hot peppers, capsicum, like red peppers, hot capsicum peppers, chilies is what we call them in Australia, that is responsible for heating you up. That is responsible for that feeling when you have a meal that's got chili in it, that you get really hot and you start sweating. So that's what we've got Max in here for. It's gonna boost thermogenesis, also gonna have a positive effect on your metabolic rate. And if you go and check out those studies, there's actually a lot of evidence that it increases lipolysis as well. So it increases the actual breakdown of fat and use of that fat as energy. Very cool, cool ingredient. In terms of the clinical dose of Max, most of these studies that I've referred to, and those of you who go check them out, will notice that they're done on a 100 milligram dose of Max at the 2% capsaicinoids extract. And that's what we do have here, but we've only got 50 milligrams. So unfortunately, it is about half of the dosage that it needs to be to mimic those scientific studies. Moving right along, we then get into Actigen, the patented registered version of Panax Noto Ginseng root and Rosa Roxburghi fruit extracts. This is a plant-based extract that's going to help increase recovery time, boost endurance, and reduce inflammation. Once again, another highly studied extract, highly studied ingredient. We have seen this before, but not in a fat loss supplement. It tends to be in more recovery supplements, sometimes pre-workouts, but generally in recovery type supplements because it has the ability to boost recovery, boost recovery after strenuous exercise in particular. Nevertheless, it is in this reclaim. The efficacious dosing for Actigen is 50 milligrams. We have 25 milligrams in this reclaim, so it's about half of where it needs to be. And then finally, we have citrus aurantium fruit extract, aka bitter orange extract, aka synephrine. Synephrine, of course, has a stimulatory effect that's going to increase your heart rate, also going to increase thermogenesis, lipolysis, and your metabolic rate, very similar to Max. The efficacious dose of citrus aurantium is 20 to 50 milligrams. We have 30 milligrams in each and every scoop of this reclaim, so it is about smack bang in the middle of that efficacious dosing range. Got yourself some artificial colors, artificial flavors. And that's what's in it. That took a long time. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 10 ingredients in here, viewers at home. A very complex thermogenic, stimulant-based fat loss supplement is this Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim. But once you understand the ingredients, it is really still quite simple. So you've got ingredients in there. You've got one ingredient, L-Carnitine, that is your fat metabolizer, your fat transporter. You've got a bunch of stimulants in there. You've got ingredients to boost metabolic rate. You've got ingredients to boost thermogenesis, ingredients to boost lipolysis. It does tick a lot of boxes when you look at things that you're trying to get out of your fat loss supplement. It really does tick a lot of those boxes. Really, the only things on paper that it's missing, you could make an argument that it doesn't have essential fatty acids in there, something like a CLA, a conjugated linoleic acid, which is very important for fat loss as well. It doesn't have that. It doesn't have anything to help stabilize glucose release into your bloodstream and therefore regulate your insulin levels, something like a hydroxycitric acid. It doesn't have that. And then on that note as well, to stabilize insulin, is it doesn't have something like a chlorogenic acid. Those are pretty much, if you want to get really picky, are the things that it's missing. But I mean, on paper, a very complex, very uniquely put together fat loss supplement, and quite impressive when you break it down and you go through all of those ingredients and you understand what they do, and you understand that there's a lot of ingredients in there that have a lot of science behind them. You know, it's more than just a stimulant-based blow your head off type fat burning supplement, which is good to see. In terms of how it tastes, how it mixes, comes in 3 flavors. Comes in, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's probably a bit too dark. Dark berry blend. Comes in fruit punch. Comes in tropical ginger twist. Interesting flavors. The dark berry blend in particular, the tropical ginger even more in particular. Got myself the infamous MassiveJoes taste and mixability test about to go down. Got the double wall glass ready to go. And I have I think one of these is my personal tub. Let me feel which one feels lighter. This one here, it is too. The fruit punch flavor. There it is. I've tried all 3 flavors. This is the 3rd one, so I went dark berry first, I went tropical ginger second, and I've gone fruit punch third. I'll tell you about how they taste in a second when we go through the infamous MassiveJoes taste and mixability test. But the first thing that I need to point out is this is one of those supplements where the scoop does not give you the recommended serving weight. So we know, because we went through it, 1 scoop is supposed to be 5.5 grams. I can tell you guys right now that one of these scoops filled right to the tip, so 1 level scoop like that is less than 4 grams. So it's like, I think it's like 3.8 grams. So to get a full, and I did get the scales out and try and do this myself, you can get a full serving size, you can get 5.5 grams, but you really have to like load the scoop up and go like absolute maximum heat like that. Maximum heat scooping, you got like falling down the side of the scoop and shit, and that will get you the 5.5 grams. So just keep that in mind, it is a very heaped scoop to get the 5.5 grams. It's definitely not 1 level scoop. Let's drop this infamous MassiveJoes taste and mixability test. I'm gonna take myself 1 stupidly, disgustingly heaped scoop. I'm gonna try to get a full serve for you guys of this Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim. Drop this bitch in this bitch and let it rain, let it rain. A few flicks of the wrist, and I'm gonna show you guys how it mixes. Refresh my memory on how this Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim tastes, man. All right, that's enough. Fruit punch flavor. About to go down, but before it goes down, you guys can check that out. So there's no floaters, there's no sinkers, there's no clumps or anything like that. I can't even get nothing off the bottom. It mixes pretty much perfectly, which is phenomenal considering we're dealing with 10 different ingredients. But because it mixes perfectly with a spoon in a glass, I would go so far as to say blender bowl is not required for this here Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim fruit punch flavor about to go down. The one thing you'll notice straight away with the Reclaim is the tea cream. And I've spoken about this in multiple raw reviews with supplements that contain tea cream or theocream, if it's the registered version or not. Very bitter, and it has that very peculiar tea cream taste to it, that bitter taste that comes through, and it's unmistakably tea cream. So you will notice that straight away. The second thing you'll notice is the Capsimax. Those of you who have used Capsimax before, or supplements that have Capsimax, it's spicy. It's kind of like someone's got like chili oil and like put it into the powder or dropped it in the glass that you're drinking from. It's definitely got like a spice to it. And one thing that will happen is if you leave it and you let it sit, and you guys can probably see that down there, those little white things down the bottom, that's Capsimax. So you can imagine when you get a mouthful of that towards the bottom of your, your delicious Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim, it's gonna blow your head off. So just be prepared. But generally, the flavors are pretty good once you account for the bitterness of the tea green and the spiciness of the Capsimax. If I had to rank them, I'd go dark berry would be my personal. The tropical ginger, funnily enough, I didn't think I'd like that, but it's actually quite nice. And then the fruit punch after that. The flavors, I mean, it's nothing delicious. You definitely wouldn't drink it if you didn't get the effects, let's put it that way. But they have done reasonably well masking, you know, a lot of those active ingredients are very strong, you know, strong flavored extracts in their own right, which is why they've had to use so much flavoring and sweetener to try and overcome that. And they have done probably the best job they could do. To be completely honest with you guys, but keep those things in mind: the bitterness of the tea green, the spiciness of the Capsimax, and if you can get over that, you know, drinking them is not too bad at all. In terms of the effects, because that's what you're taking the shit for. I will be completely honest with you guys. There's two things that you're going to notice with this reclaim that, in my opinion, are probably more pronounced than any other fat loss supplement to date, or at least on par with any other fat loss supplement to date. The first thing is the energy. The second thing is the thermogenesis. And when I say thermogenesis, I'm talking about the feeling of your body heating up and the amount that you sweat is ridiculous. The energy is very, very good, very potent, very strong, very long lasting, and you don't get a crash off it. So it is really, if it's energy that you're after from your fat loss supplement, I mean, this has to be one of the best that I've ever tried. Very nice feeling of potent energy. It really is, it's a really strong thermogenic stimulant based fat burner, but even with the strength, really nice to use as well. The thermogenic effect really needs to be highlighted, because if that's what you're looking for in a fat loss supplement, I don't think there's another supplement on the market that is as strong as this reclaim at delivering that effect, that thermogenic effect. If you don't like sitting in a pool of your own sweat, you're probably not gonna like the thermogenic effect that you get of this Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim. Either way, I have to point it out for you guys, because it is ridiculous. It is like, man, I've never felt my body heat up as much as it does when I take Reclaim. I've never sweated as much. Like, I've had a few sips of this and I'm like clammy already just sitting here shooting this raw review. It comes on really fast and it comes on really strong. And you just have to be prepared for it, because it will catch you. The first time I took it, it caught me by surprise. I really wasn't expecting it. So those are the main two things that you're really gonna get out of this. In terms of you do also notice the kind of the increase in cognition as well, the tyrosine in there with the DMHA, with the other things that affect your, the way your neurotransmitters work, dopamine, noradrenaline, and adrenaline. You do experience that. It is a nice feeling of well-being that you get when taking this Reclaim as well. In terms of the side effects, I've already mentioned the sweats, so you do have to obviously be aware of that if that's something you don't like. If you don't like that thermogenic effect, you're probably not going to like the Reclaim. If you have an issue with DMHA, if you don't respond well to DMHA, whether it be synthetic or natural, obviously this does have a really big dose of naturally occurring DMHA in the 80 milligram extract of the 80 milligram dose of the Juglans Rhodiola extract. So you do have to keep that in mind. If you don't respond well to DMHA, you're probably not going to respond well to this Reclaim. In terms of stackability, obviously it can be stacked with the things that it's really missing out on, or the things that it's lowly dosed in. So straight up you go acetyl L-Carnitine. Creation Supplements Aquapure is gonna stack perfectly with this supplement. Then you go, look, it's really gonna stack with your stimulant-free. Definitely don't stack it with any other stimulants, and definitely don't stack it with any other thermogenics, but it's going to stack very well with your stimulant-free fat loss supplements that contain things like CLA, that contain things like hydroxycitric acid, that contain things like chlorogenic acid. That's what it's going to stack well with, is those kind of ingredients that it's missing. The final thing I will say for you guys is in terms of price and value for money. In the Australian market, you're looking at your 30 serve tub is going to set you back about 65 bucks. So you're looking at just over $2 per serve, which does place it towards the higher end of the market in the Australian market for stimulant-based fat burners. It's definitely not expensive, but we are used to seeing, 60 serve tubs for about 80 bucks. So you're paying less for it, but you're getting less serves, just over $2 per serve. Is that pricing justified? Look, I would say it is, because we really haven't come across a stimulant-based fat burner, a once-a-day stimulant-based fat burner that has the range of ingredients that this Reclaim has in it. Most of them are, there's nothing in there that's severely underdosed. Most of them are within proper dosing range. Some of them are a little bit underneath it, but you have a broad spectrum of ingredients that do work quite well synergistically together. So is the price justified? I would go so far as to say it is. And guys, if you're in the market for a very strong stimulant-based fat burner that's going to give you very potent, long-lasting, feel-good energy and a thermogenic effect that I have never. I'm sweating. What the f is going on right now? I feel like I'm in the gym at the moment in between sets. You guys, you have to give yourself some of this Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim a shot. Guys, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, man. If you're watching this on the mobile, don't forget to turn your post notifications on. If you like this video, like this damn video, drop a comment down below. You guys know we get back to each and every one of them. Share the love around, spread the love of the MassiveJoes YouTube channel, man. And guys, that is MassiveJoes RAW review on the all new Outbreak Nutrition Reclaim in the house. And I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Stay massive.